What is a tired landlord? Why should you care what a tired landlord is? What is it? Why you should know who they are, how to find them, and how it can help you grow your real estate investing business. Let's dive in. Hey, so I have told the story before in my videos, but one of the very first rental property that I ever bought, I bought it from a landlord. He actually had owned the property, been renting it out for years and years because it was absolutely beat. And but basically, when I bought it from him, it was vacant at that time, and it was in terrible condition. If you haven't seen that video, I'll try to post it in the description below. You have to check that out. It was I talk about that property and how much of a disaster it was getting started. It was I definitely earned my stripes on it. But needless to say, he was motivated to sell the property. He was tired of dealing with the tenants in that property, and he was actually selling off a lot of his properties. And so when I reached out to him, that particular property was on the MLS. I'm going to be honest with you, it takes a lot of reaching out to properties listed on the MLS these days to get a deal, but it is still possible. So one of the things that you can do in order to find these tired landlords is you can look at properties on the MLS that perhaps have a tenant in them. So you can, a lot of times there will be a description that says tenant currently living there, or tenant pays this much, or that sort of thing. So you can search in comments. Like if you go to Zillow, for example, you can go in and look and type in at the very bottom on Zillow, you can type in the word tenant and then see which properties pop up that have the word tenant in them. And if they have the word tenant in them, there's a high likelihood that that means there is a tenant living in the property. And one of the things you have to stop and ask yourself, kind of when you think about the psychology behind this, is like, well, why, if someone has a tenant living in the property and they're paying rent, like why would they want to give up that cash flow? Like what is the deal? Like why would they want to do that? And if you ask yourself that question, you don't have to dig too deep, but you just say, okay, why would they do that? Well, maybe they need the money. They're gonna use the money for another investment. Maybe they want to pay off some bills. Could be just a financial thing. The other thing it could be is they're just tired of dealing with tenants. Dealing with tenants, honestly, it can be kind of a draining process, even when you have property management in place. What's wild about owning a bunch of rental properties is once you get to a certain point, there's this sort of critical mass. Like you get to this point of having so many rentals that it's almost always something going on. It's either something going on with a tenant, it's either something going on with like turnover and vacancy and people interested, and then they ghost, and then they're here, they're there. It's maintenance issues, it's CapEx issues, and so after a while you start having a lot of that. And if you have good systems and processes in place with your business, that can be a lot less stressful. Even though I must admit, even now to this day, I sometimes get kind of stressed out with all of the chaos. Like the last couple weeks have just been chaos. I've had like nonstop tenant problems. I've had repair problems. It's like South Carolina, the weather is absolutely crazy. So it's when it's summer, it's 190 degrees, and then when it's winter, things freeze up, and it's just crazy. So it's like, it's just a part of the business. And so even when you have good systems and processes, it can still sometimes kind of get to you. But if a lot of these owners, these landlords, they don't have good systems and processes, and maybe they've been doing this for a long, long time, and they're like, you know what, it's time for me to put the chips in, like I'm ready to cash out. And one day that may be you. Like if you accumulate a lot of rentals, you're either going to possibly pass them down to your children, or you're going to say, okay, I've got all these rentals, like I'm ready to sell them and cash out. And so don't necessarily discount the idea that just because maybe you're in the beginning stages of your real estate investing career, everybody's in different stages. And so sometimes people will be in a certain stage, and to them, they're willing to sell that property and maybe at a discount just to get rid of it. And you're the person that's hungry, ready to go, and you have the opportunity to buy it at a discount and get in there, and either you have a tenant in place or whatever the circumstances. So look at actual listings online. You can also work with real estate agents. So this is where it comes in to have a real good network of agents that you can build relationships with. You need to be talking to agents. And you also need to understand that most of the time when you reach out to an agent, whatever property you're reaching out for, probably not going to work. And that's weird, right? That's a waste of time. It's like, because you're going to have to buy it much, much, much lower than that person that they're listing the property is willing to sell it to you. But that gives you an opportunity to reach out to that agent, maybe get to know that agent, build rapport with that agent. And then it's like, hey, no, this one doesn't work out, didn't work out, but if you have anything in the future, like, please keep me in mind. And by the way, I'd love to follow up with you from time to time. And if that agent's like, cool, no problem, feel free to. Then from time to time, don't bug them, but from time to time, just reach out. Hey, just wanted to touch base. I'm still looking for this particular type of property. Don't say deals or whatever. Say, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath property with a tenant already in place. That's approximately this square footage around this price point. If you have anything like that or run across anything, let me know. Because if you just say, hey, let me know if you got any deals, they're not going to be thinking about that. But if you tell them something very specific, and now it's like, ooh, I remember such and such wants me to reach out to them because I got a perfect buyer for this. Then that's when they start reaching out to you, and you have the opportunity for agents to bring you deals. The other thing is like I said before, Zillow, you can look at listings that are for sale by owner. That is something you can look at. Now, I will say those folks do get hammered a lot, so that may be tough, but that is certainly an option that you can do that. You can look online at for sale by owner, and you can see if they're interested in potentially, selling their property at a discount. And you don't start the conversation that way, but that's what you eventually get to a point. See if you can have a number that makes sense. Now, this next way I'm going to talk about is absolutely one of the great pieces of software that I use, and I've been using it for years and years. So you can actually go in using this software, and you can find properties that are non-owner occupied. What does that mean, non-owner occupied? That means that basically whoever owns that property does not occupy it, which means somebody else does, which means that in most cases, not always, because it could be a family member, that property is a rental. And so what you can do is you can use this software to go in, and you can actually find out a list of properties in your market where the owner is not occupying the property. Then from there, you can use that same software. It will typically tell you, okay, this owner of this property lives here. So like they live, this is XYZ, 1234 Main Street. The property owner is Joe, Bill, Bob, whatever. He lives over here at 559, Hampton Street. Then you can reach out to that owner in a variety of different ways, okay? You can, number one, you can handwrite a letter and mail that letter to that owner. Why do I say handwrite it? Because that is something that they're not used to seeing. They're getting other letters from people. They're getting postcards. If you take the time to handwrite a letter, handwrite the address on the envelope, put a stamp on it, drop it in the mail, you are going to get a much, much, much higher open rate, meaning that he's actually going to open it versus throw it in the trash because it looks like a piece of junk mail. So handwrite a letter. That is one thing you can do. You can actually get postcards and mail out postcards, so you can have postcards printed up that says something. There's tons and tons of places that you can get these postcards, and you can mail that out. You can do what's called a door knock. Some people they get a lot of business this way. Some people are like, there's no way possible I'm going to go knock on a stranger's door. But it is something that you could do. You can go knock on the door, and if you have the opportunity to speak to them, you can introduce yourself. If not, you can get door hangers and hang it on their door saying that, I'm interested in your property at 123 Main Street, whatever. You can do that. That you can skip trace their phone number. Now, one of the things about skip tracing is this typically, the numbers it's a relatively low percentage of accuracy on these skip trace numbers. So there are online, you can go to certain websites and do this for free, actually, one by one. Or you can there's some companies where you can actually skip trace numbers, and you can put a list of numbers, and they'll skip trace all of them for you. So you can do that. There's, like I said, there's tons. I won't get into all those companies that do that, but that is a way you can do it. So there are ways that you can get in touch with these people. Now, going back to the software, I'm going to put a link in the description below so that you can check out the software and see if that's something that you'd be interested in. The software typically costs about $100 a month. And but what you can do with this software is you can pull up the non-owner occupied properties. You can pull up absentee, like out of state. So like the owner actually, not only is it non-owner occupied, but they're out of state or out of county. You can pull that up. You can actually go in and you can pull up properties that are currently that are actually vacant. You can pull vacant properties. And that's obviously a good thing, because if a landlord has a property that's vacant, he's not making any money. So you can put in vacant property and then find that owner's information and reach out to the owner. So it's a good way that you can generate leads. Again, I will put the link in the description below. You can go check it out. It's typically about $100 a month, depending on, they've got different plans. But it's a really great way that you can kind of start researching properties. And if you want to get into actually spending some money on like direct mail, that's also a great thing. You can pull all sorts of different types of lists off the property. So if you wanted to focus on like, hey, you know, I'm in, you know, North Carolina, I want to focus on Mecklenburg County, I'm going to pull a list of properties in this particular criteria, you know, non-owner occupied, you know, that is this, you know, a single family home, you know, 3-bed, 2-bath, between this square footage. You can really dig in, like, and get that granular, and then you can pull that list, and then you can either skip trace it, you can send mail to it, you certainly could go door knock it. That might take a while, but you could door knock people on the list, that sort of thing, as long as you have the, you know, you're going to the obviously owner occupied address, not the non-owner occupied. So you can do that. But again, it's a great way that you can start finding leads that you can start to engage with. And one thing too I'll say is that is doing stuff that's outside of the box. Like, so many people, I get them all the time for my rentals, they get postcards or they get mail that looks like it's junk mail and they just get tossed. If you do a handwritten letter and a handwritten envelope, that's gonna hit a lot better with people than just something that looks generic and, you know, they're used to getting. So check that out. Also too, if you have anything you'd like me to talk about in the videos, be sure to post that in the comments. So we're posting content every single week. I'm trying to really bring a lot of value. So if there's anything that you want to learn about, you can post it in the comments and I'll try to see if I can put a video together for you. Of course, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to this channel and click on notifications so that you can get notified whenever new content is dropped. And lastly, if you're not aware, we have a community. It's a private community where we have mentorship. We have other new real estate investors that are on their journey to really grow their business. We have some investors in there that are seasoned, but you have the opportunity to really have some interaction, some mentorship in there. I'll put that in the description below as well. So be sure to check out our private community. There's a lot of value there. As always, thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope you have a great one. Take care.